I just simply love half frame cameras. I love them because it's a lot of fun to shoot with, and also you get twice as many images as your normal full frame cameras. Now, back in the day, I did a review of this beautiful half frame camera. This is the Konica recorder camera. I just simply love this camera so much. One of my absolute favorite cameras. The glass on this camera is quite awesome. If you want to check out the review, it will just pop up right there, add it to your playlist. But for this episode, I want to share another experience that I've had with another half frame camera that I really enjoyed, and that camera is this beauty right here. And this one here is the Samurai. It's a Kyocera Samurai. The form factor of this camera is one that I really love. When you're shooting with this camera, doing street photography with this camera, you're not going to arouse any suspicions or anything. It just looks like you're shooting with a modern camcorder or even a modern camera. The form factor is a bit odd. It's not like your typical camera. It really does look like a camcorder, and that adds to its eccentricity. And for me, I love eccentric cameras. I love eccentric cameras like this. So I found shooting with this camera to be very enjoyable. This camera itself doesn't come loaded with a bunch of features. It's quite easy to operate. There is this switch right here that turns the camera on and off. And then it's got a little LCD screen right here. It's actually a pretty decent size, I would say. There's a button there that you can use to set your date. There is the mode button, which you can use to cycle through some of the modes that it has, and I'll just take you through the modes. So once the camera is turned on, there are 3 modes that you can shoot in. One is the auto mode that you see there, and in this mode the camera will determine if you need the flash or not. And as I toggle through the mode, there's also the night mode, and then there's also the night auto mode. With the night auto mode, your flash will turn on automatically, whereas in the night mode, the camera will play between your aperture setting and the shutter speed setting to make sure that you get a decent exposure. You can toggle between multiple exposure, which is right there, or the timer mode right there, or the multiple exposure with the timer mode, and the single exposure. When the film does reach the end, it should automatically rewind. But if you do want to override that and you want to rewind your film anytime, you can always press this tiny little button there, and that will rewind your film manually. Now on this side of the camera here, you have your zoom rocker. That's pretty much it for this camera. It's just a really simple looking, but also quite modern looking camera. For ergonomics, I say that this camera has pretty good ergonomics, and there's also a little groove here for your thumb to rest on, so you can hold your camera this way and still be able to shoot anytime with your finger here exposed and ready to fire. So as you can see, the camera itself is not very complicated. Nothing complicated about it. It's quite easy. The features are quite simple. Everything is properly laid out. This camera is probably one of the most drama-free cameras that I've ever shot with. I did not ever have any issues with it. I find that unlike this camera, where I had some issues with the viewfinder, the placement of the viewfinder, it was kind of iffy with the viewfinder on this one. The viewfinder on this is actually very nice. I love the viewfinder on this camera. It's a pretty decent size. The position of it is just right. It's just right. And if you hold this camera like it's designed to be held, you're bound to have your fingers out of the way. One thing that I noticed with this camera is that for quite a few of the shots, my finger actually somehow found its way in the shot. Because of the way this is designed, it's quite easy to get your finger somehow getting in the shot, because this is the taken lens right there. And as you can see from these images, you can actually see my finger in the shot of quite a few of the images. This one, on the other hand, if you hold it the way it's supposed to be held, you won't have that problem at all. It's just a really, really beautiful camera. So this one here, the lens on this is an f3.5 to f4.3. And the zoom is 25mm zoom to 75mm. And because this is a half frame camera, what that means is that you have to multiply that by 2. So actually the effective zoom on this camera is 50mm to 150mm, which means that you can use this camera to take some landscapes. It won't give you the extra wide view for landscapes, but you can use this camera to take some really, really nice portrait images. It works really well as well. For those of you looking for a half frame camera, I would certainly recommend this camera. I would recommend this camera. I would also recommend this camera as well. If you can find this camera, certainly go for it. These two cameras are awesome, awesome, awesome half frame cameras. So these two certainly get my seal of approval. Now the most important part is, how do the images actually look? Now I'll let you be the judge of that. So here are the images from the Kyocera Samurai X3.0 half frame camera. Enjoy! Now before you go, I need you guys to do me one favor. If you have not interacted with this video, please do interact with this video. It really helps the algorithms. It helps my video be recommended to more people. I really would ask that you interact with my content. So thanks so much guys for joining me on this episode. I look forward to sharing more with you, and I look forward to going on more adventures with you. I hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, stay safe.